I'm sharing this morning about a phrase that I hear a lot in mindfulness, which is equanimity. And I've kind of sat with what that is and how I feel about it, and really would kind of go to the definition when I do a lot of my guided practices by my teachers. Equanimity is a phrase that's a part of that practice, a very common phrase that's part of that practice. And so I finally decided, all right, I'm going to dive into this and really, what does it mean? And the more I learned about it, the more I really loved about it and thought about how important it is that we cultivate equanimity as our kind of default state, if you will. So, we have these learned responses, these very well practiced responses to external stimuli. So something happens, and we immediately, without really crafting or thinking about or being involved in our reaction to that, have a reaction. So we might hear, something that disaligns with our political views, and we get very judgy. There might be certain triggers for us around words or behaviors, and we have an automatic reaction to that. And equanimity, and so those are trained responses that we have, natural states that we have created. So external situation happens, we are already having a reaction to that based on these neural pathways we've created. And so what equanimity reminds us of is that we really can choose a different default state. And we have to cultivate that. We have to practice that. So equanimity is defined as the psychological stability. I wrote it down so I wouldn't say it wrong. The psychological stability and composure, which is undisturbed by external changes or internal emotions. So I'm going to read that one more time. Equanimity is a state of psychological stability and composure, which is undisturbed by external changes or internal emotions. So it's really about creating a balanced mind, regardless of our circumstances, internally or externally. And of course, it's very closely related to great leaders and to high emotional intelligence and so forth. So it's not about not having emotions. It's not about not having anger or jealousy or frustration or extreme joy or any of those feelings. It's not about not having those and just having this internal equilibrium state. It's about being able to be aware of what is happening and being involved in that, so that the external stimuli happens or the internal thought process happens, and there's still just this kind of calm, this place in me that can observe my emotions without having that hijack, that amygdala hijack. So, kind of how we develop more equanimity, which I think about as just space. It's more space for me, so that I don't go for the ups and down rides that life offers, right? Life offers it. I get to feel however I want. And then I've got space to not get caught in that and to choose my response. So a couple things that we can do to really begin to develop that is to practice an understanding of impermanence, right? That all our experiences, the really great, wonderful ones, holding a newborn, seeing a beautiful sunset, and the really hard ones, the loss of loved ones, the feeling misunderstood or judged, that all of that is permanent. And so we can show up to it with that understanding, and we remind ourselves it isn't about identity or that this is always happening or this is how things always are. Instead, it's just the remembrance that it's all temporary, it's all not permanent. Practicing non-reactivity is another way that we can develop more equanimity. So observing those thoughts and emotions without immediately reacting to them. So practicing our ability to witness for metacognition to unfold. Cultivating compassion, both for ourselves and for others, is a third way that we can develop more equanimity. So really just offering ourselves the simple kindness that we do for so many others. And then, of course, continuing to practice that with others. Acceptance of reality, which when I practiced this one, I had my first couple of years of mindfulness work, I really kind of rejected this because acceptance of reality started to relate into compliance for me. And I thought, I don't want to comply with things I don't feel great about. And acceptance of reality isn't um, complacency. It's not complying with what's happening, just being okay with it. You cannot be okay with it, but we accept it. So then we're really working with reality instead of our judgments about things, how they should be or shouldn't be. We just instead meet life where it is so that we can then work purposefully with reality. And then finally, a regular ongoing self-awareness and mindfulness practice is another way that we build equanimity. So we create our default modes in our brain by constant practice. The ones we currently have, we've practiced many times. And so developing that space, that place of ease, that equanimity is a practice that we have to really continue to build. So with all of that, let's dedicate our practice, our remaining practice today, into 7 minutes of guided meditation around equanimity. So you can close your eyes, or you can take a soft gaze. And let's just meet ourselves right now where we are, meeting reality right now where it is. So just doing kind of a check-in with your body, with your mind, with your brain. Can you meet yourself where you are this morning without the judgment or feeling like it's not okay to feel a certain way, or having some story about how aging sucks or whatever it is? Just instead saying, this is what's happening for me in the middle of June on a Friday morning in this season of my life. This is what's present for me. And as you're meeting your current reality, seeing if you can just allow your body to fully be present, accepting what is. Sometimes I'll do this during the day and I'll find my whole body is just kind of gripped. My shoulders are up, my hands are in some funny position, my forehead is scrunching. So see if you can just create some space, lifting the crown of your head, your shoulders back in their sockets away from the ears, lifting the chest, bringing attentiveness to your spine, allowing your belly to soften so that it can move with our breath, moving in, moving out. Bringing a balance to your sits bones, to your bottom if you're sitting, not too far forward or back or over to one side, uncrossing your legs, feet on the floor firmly planted. You have your hands together or palms up, palms down, or even one on your belly, one on your chest, whatever allows you just to be really present, making space for all that we are experiencing right now. And reminding ourselves that whatever it is temporary. The pain, the pleasure, place of ease, feeling of difficulty, joy, anger, isolation, overwhelm, exhausted, well rested. It's all temporary. And as you remind yourself of this impermanence, just explore what happens for you. Is there a different way that you're invited to relate to this temporary experience? If I'm walking by and noticing as I get ready in the morning, feeling rushed, and I notice a beautiful sunset or sunrise, I'm sorry. If I remind myself, this is the one and only version of this sunrise. This is the one and only moment it will look like this. Could I greet it differently? Or even a hard, difficult conversation? And I greet it differently if I'm reminded of its impermanence. And then finally, we're going to invite compassion into this party we're having internally here, welcoming it to the table, offering ourselves just some nice words of kindness, something that we might say to a loved one, to a client, to a dear friend, if they were experiencing something difficult or challenging, how kind and loving we often are. And just using that skill set we have and turning it on ourselves. Giving ourselves love and kindness. And if you're finding that you're struggling with any part of this, just returning to your breath, listening to my voice, getting curious about your thoughts. Returning to your body, recreating that space in our physical body if it's adjusted, taking that meditation posture, crown is lifted, chest is lifted, shoulders are in their place, breath is coming in and out through a softened belly. Practicing equanimity. And it's highly likely that we're not going to get it right, that we're going to have reactions and we're going to have amygdala hijacks and we're going to find ourselves forgetting that things are temporary, and meeting ourselves there and starting there. Reminding ourselves that the goal is never perfection, it's practice, mindfulness practice, so that we build purposeful responses, purposeful and new brain pathways that really serve us and serve how we want to experience life and others. And when you're ready, let's take just a couple deep breaths together, breathing in, breathing out through your lips. One more time. And as you do that, slowly finding your way back to this moment. Big exhale, opening your eyes and coming back together. I went over a little bit, sorry. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thank you so much.